Okay, you're under contract, you've gone through diligence. During diligence, earnest money has been wired. You determine the amount of earnest money that you're going to be requesting from the buyers when you sign the listing agreement. We've discussed kind of what's happening in the area, what is common, and you pick a number. It doesn't have to be what's common. You can pick the number. I've had clients go really, really high, and some think, oh, that's too much, and they go low. So earnest money's been wired within a specific time frame that was detailed in the purchase agreement. It's typically 1 to 3 days it goes to escrow. These are business days. Every other timeline is calendar days, regardless of the weekend, regardless of holidays. And so something to consider when a buyer comes in with maybe longer time periods and there's holidays in there, that's very fair because people disappear during the holidays that need to get the work done and things are closed. So you've gone through diligence, you've handled any requests for repairs. So the buyer has looked at things and said, okay, these are the items we would like repaired. I try to educate my buyer clients, if you're buying resale, you're not buying a new house, you're not asking for cosmetic issues. If you want a brand new house, go buy a brand new house. That's not what this is. But on a resale, they're looking at major systems. If there's any kind of leaks, then they're gonna want it repaired, or they're gonna want a credit for it at closing and they'll handle the repairs themselves. And some people do, they've got their trusted vendors, it's who they prefer to use. If they request that you make the repairs, and it is something that requires a licensed, insured, bonded person, like a plumber, an electrician, you have to go hire that person. You cannot use a handyman to get these repairs done, no matter how great the handyman is. That's literally not allowed by statute, I believe. It's not allowed. So in a transaction like this, so you are paying that plumber or that electrician to get the work done. You have to provide the receipt that it was done with the invoice detailing everything that was done. And then there's usually a warranty that's going to pass to the home buyer on the work by that service provider. So you're doing all of this this is all happening within that diligence period. Then what happens? Diligence is expired. They could cancel for any reason during diligence, by the way. It's not just based on the home inspection results. They could literally just change their mind. They could find another house they like better and they can move on. And that's just, it is what it is. So they will get their earnest money back. Now, what kind of offer do you have? Is it a cash offer? Is it a financed offer? If it's a cash offer, most cash buyers don't seek appraisals. They can look at the data and they're comfortable enough with it and they know that it sweetens the pot to not ask for an appraisal because it's another contingency that can cause a deal to fall apart or just make it a little bit more complicated. So if it's a cash deal and they're not seeking an appraisal, the contingency period is mostly over, meaning the ability for them to back out, with one exception. If this home is in a HOA community, often referred to a common interest community, a resale package is due to the buyer. The seller is providing it through their HOA, 1 HOA, 2 HOAs. I've seen as many as 3 HOAs. And this is the package that has CC&Rs, which you can't do with your property. It has the financial statement for the community to make sure that they're actually have money. It has the insurance information in there, and it also has any known or pending litigation or anticipated litigation, so you can see what's happening in the community. Those resale packages have to get over to the buyer. You want to move these along as fast as possible, but the reality is you are completely at the mercy of the HOAs. Here in Clark County, they have so much control that it's frustrating. It's frustrating, but it is what it is. And so you make the request for those HOA packages, and then they have, they can take 10 business days to get them to you. I mean, it's just nuts. Once those packages come, they immediately get sent over to the buyer. The buyer has 5 calendar days to review the contents, and if there's anything in there they don't like, they can back out of the transaction. For my out-of-state clients, this literally makes their head almost explode. If they're not familiar with it, it is the reality of what we're doing and what we have here in Clark County. So, cash deal, you're looking at the resale package as a way for them to back out the buyer, and also due diligence. If they didn't seek an appraisal, the contingencies are done. The earnest money is yours if they choose to back out, and we are just waiting to get to closing and to escrow. If it's a finance deal, there's many more contingencies, 2 more. It's the appraisal and the loan contingency. So even though a client a buyer has a pre-approval, and there's a difference between pre-approval and pre-qual, but we're going to say they're pre-approved. That's like a higher standard of showing that this buyer is truly qualified. They've submitted a lot more documentation and have most likely gone through an underwriting process, automated underwriting. House has to appraise. What if the house doesn't appraise? Appraisers, oddly, it's subjective. Is data driven, but unless you've got 3 model matches, because they need 3 within 6 months, last 6 months, then they can pick and choose different things. And so there are different variables. And unfortunately, appraisers are not all the same. And so you just don't know. You can be pretty confident that a house will appraise, but you literally just don't know. So it has to, if it appraises, great. All you're told is home appraised. Okay, next issue. If it doesn't appraise, then often you'll get a copy of the appraisal. And then you're working through whether or not you guys can reach an agreement. Does that mean that the seller comes down a little bit and the buyer comes up a little bit? Have you had so much traffic on your house and you have people wanting to submit backup offers? You might just relay that to them and say, we're not gonna budge. And then it's up to them to cancel the transaction within their appraisal timeline that's spelled out in the purchase agreement. And if they don't, then they can't back out because the house didn't appraise. The next contingency is their loan contingency, and that is their final underwriting. That's typically like at day 25 to 30-ish. The big banks take a lot longer, and this is where the bank is re-verifying those buyers are gonna go out and buy a boat, cars, put $50,000 worth of furniture on a credit card. These are all real examples. Drop down to part-time work. That was not my client, thank goodness. Buy their kid a house. I mean, all kinds of things. They did not monkey with their credit during this period, and they get final loan approval. At that point, their earnest money has gone completely hard. It is non-refundable if they did back out. And I've had sellers who are very type A, like me, and it is a frustrating experience because they're like, we need to pack, we need to organize movers, we need to get out of here, but I don't want my house empty and I don't want to move until this is really a done deal. It can be scary, it can be frustrating. People buy and sell houses all the time. We all navigate it, we just get through it, and it's better to have all the information and understand. It's like, how do you know when to schedule the movers? How do you know? Facts and circumstances. You're looking at how qualified the buyers are, what they're doing, we're having conversations, and you're making decisions based on the data that's presented to you at the time. So that is what happens when a house goes under contract. Next, we're going to talk about closing.